Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 12 American words I now use every day, part 1, and I saw this pop up, and I thought I'd reacted to this before, but there's a lot of word-related ones that are all quite similar, so I've probably just got it confused. But it wasn't watched on the channel, and yeah, I mean, I've not seen it, but in terms of American words, I don't live in the US, I don't have any sort of reason to start saying US words other than doing reactions, but I've even started saying, like, movie. I started saying movie instead of film, and I don't know why. And now I just sort of say it, and now it's a bit annoying, but I just do it, and it's just like, well, there we go. And that's just from doing reactions and stuff. But I mean, I assume so anyway, because I just hear it so much. It's just sort of now been ingrained in my head. But I feel like I interchange it as well. But we're gonna check this out and see some other words. Maybe seeing this might cause me to start saying them, or I'll just sort of see maybe I do actually say some of these words as well. But we're going to check this out. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon where you can see some movie reactions. I was going to say film, but yeah, some film movie reactions that I can't post to YouTube. TV series that I can't react to obviously on YouTube. And YouTube reactions that I can't post to YouTube. Links are all there for those interested. And yeah, let's check this out and see some of these words that he uses every day and maybe I've heard used, or I don't know, we're going to see.
Hello, this video is sponsored by Wondrium. I'm Lawrence Brown and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to words. Specifically, everyday American words that I use every day. I was in France recently, and when you're in a foreign country, you find yourself using the lingo in order to get by, but it's usually the most simple, basic, everyday lingo, like, where's the nearest restaurant? How do I find the toilet? How do I call an ambulance? That sort of thing. And it got me thinking, as a person who came to the United States from Britain, I do the exact same thing here on a daily basis, because I hear that lingo all the time, right? I live with a cat and a wife, and one of them has a very strong American accent. Actually, so does my wife, come to think of it. You just pick up the words that they say and you say them back to them. It's as simple as that. So as I've been living here, I have picked up lingo that I use every day. And today, I'm going to tell you all about 12 of them. Trash is the first one.
I can definitely see that being a word that's easy to pick up. I don't say it. But it also, what's used more in the US? Trash or garbage? Taking out the trash or taking out the garbage? Is it like more of like a southern versus northern thing, or eastern versus western? Like, what sort of parts of the US they trash more, or is it just one of those ones that is just completely interchangeable? Because I just say rubbish, or the bins, taking the bins out, or taking the rubbish out. But I don't really say taking the rubbish. No, I say taking the bins out. I don't even say trash, garbage, or rubbish. It's just weird even in its own.
On everybody's favourite activity, taking out the trash. And I do it. It's just become my activity. I don't mind it. It makes the place...
Yeah, I say taking out the bins. I should probably do say rubbish. I don't know. I feel like I say taking out the bins when it's not even a bin. It's just a bag.
Smell better, and you just feel this sense of release at having removed some of the horrible smell. I'm not going to get into too much detail on that, but I take out the trash. And in taking out the trash, you don't just do it as a kind of lonely activity. I mean, sometimes you might, but you sort of converse with your wife. Wife, I'm taking out the trash, you know, so that she'll applaud.
Yeah.
You know, job well done, husband. And you find yourself just using those words just because she does. Now, it's not to say that I don't occasionally internally say rubbish. Maybe if I haven't had enough coffee, I will say I'm taking out the rubbish. Or if I'm speaking to an English person, I revert back in that instance, and it's probably true with every one of these on this list, but trash to me is trash. There's no other way about it. Now, both countries, of course, use the word bath.
But isn't it in the US you'll call just a toilet the bathroom? Which is so fascinating to me. That even like if you're in a restaurant and there's obviously just a toilet there, you'll say you're going to the bathroom. Which is, again, I can't really wrap my head around that, but I guess I kind of get it.
Bathroom, but they use it quite differently. In the United Kingdom, where I used to live, we used to describe the place where you go to have a bath because it has a bathtub in it as a bathroom. Whereas in the United States, that is not a requirement of that term. A bathroom is basically anywhere, public or private, that has a toilet in it. And nowadays, because I'm not such a fan of the word restroom, it just doesn't feel like I go in there to rest, I call it bathroom. But now that I think about it, I don't really go in there to bathe either, because the only opportunity you get to bathe in a bathroom of this kind is either in the sink, because you can pour water into that, or in the toilet, you know, and I don't want to do that. again, because there was a threat of deportation the first time, but I call it bathroom. I don't know that I will ever revert back from that. Maybe if I move back to the United Kingdom. Until then, this one is not going to be flushed down the toilet. Or loo. It feels weird to go from the toilet to food.
I don't get this one. Eggplant and aubergine, so different. I don't understand this one.
It's usually the other way around. But eggplant is...
Either one though, it's one of the worst vegetables in the world. I've tried to like it. Because I know it's obviously it's good for you. The more vegetables you eat, the better. And I've tried to have it with food. I've roasted it or whatever. I just don't like it. It just doesn't taste of anything. The texture's just not nice. I'll probably do it wrong, but it's just like, yeah, this is the most pointless vegetable in the world. So you know what? With that, I don't care what it's called because it's irrelevant to me.
Something I've actually been growing, and I grew to like this vegetable or whatever it is when I was a vegetarian. So I didn't eat it back home where we call it an aubergine. So I never really needed to say it that often. But here I needed to say it more, and I found my...
Does anyone in the US say aubergine, or is eggplant the only word that's like the only way to like say the name of it? Because that's so weird to me. Like, eggplant, like I guess I kind of get it, right? It looks a bit like an egg. Is that what it's supposed to be? I mean, it doesn't, to be honest. It doesn't look like an egg at all. It's just got the roundness of an egg, and that's about it.
Myself saying the word eggplant more, and it's just a big part of my vocabulary now. So eggplant it is. I understand they use that same term in Canada and I think Australia. If there's anybody from Australia watching, let me know. But they are amazing. They're very nice. I do like them, but they're eggplants. I'll go back and forth with this one.
Closet.
When I'm talking
Closet and wardrobe, right? I mean, isn't closet though more like one that you walk into, like a walk-in closet or whatever? Or I guess you got a walk-in wardrobe. For me, a closet's like sort of one that is bigger. I mean, I feel like I've probably said closet before, but wardrobe is the one like where you've just sort of got your clothes hanging up through the doors. Closet's one that's, I guess, maybe built in, and it's a lot bigger.
To my wife, she might describe a number of things as a closet. The place where you store your clothes, or also just a basic cupboard where you're keeping things like light bulbs or towels, or occasionally my cat when he's so inclined to jump in there. And I used to call that very thing a cupboard, just like the things in your kitchen. Over time, since living here and hearing my wife refer to it as a closet, I've also done that too. I mean, that's just something I say every day. If she asks me, where did you put the Phillips head screwdriver this time? I put it in the closet. What, in the tool closet? No, accidentally the linen closet, my mistake, I'll find it. Baseball cap, appropriately being worn by me in this very video. It's not that we don't have baseball caps in the UK, of course we do. They obviously...
I don't even know what you call them, just hats? I don't wear hats, so I don't even know, but they're just called hats, no? I don't even know, to be honest.
It originated in the United States, hence the term baseball cap. It's just that in the UK, of course, baseball isn't such a big thing, so a lot of the time we find ourselves not referring to it that way, but more as just the shorthand cap. I used to have one, a Lightwater Valley cap, when I was 9 years old. I was obsessed with the Ultimate Ride that went up and down and all that. It made me sick into that cap. But since I moved here, I started calling it a baseball cap, and I don't really know why. It's not like I'm massively into baseball. It's just that that's what everybody else calls it again. And all right, maybe I don't wear these every day, so I don't necessarily use the term every day, but most of the time, this is how I find myself using it. Tara, do you know where I put my baseball cap? I haven't seen it in 5 days. It's in the closet. So that's usually how that goes. Yeah, the British Post versus the US Mail, unless we're talking about the carriers, because in those instances it's the Royal Mail and the US Postal Service. So it's all back to front.
Just swap it around to make it more confusing.
But on the whole, people in the US say mail, and I've come to do likewise, because while taking out the trash...
To be fair, I say both as well, in the mail. Like, you'll sort of get stuff sent to you in the mail, and that's something that I feel like I will say. But mailbox, postbox is probably used more. I'll say postbox, but I don't really call it post. What's in the post? I think I'll say mail more. Like if you've got loads of letters, I'll be like, and my girlfriend's got some. I'll be like, you've got some mail, right? I don't say post or mail. I think I just say you've got some letters here. That's it, to be honest. Letters is just the one that I say.
I also check the mail, right? And I usually shout up the stairs, I'll get the mail on my way. I think in those instances, I know that there are just sort of other people that could be in earshot in this apartment complex. So if I said post, they'd either giggle because it's just adorable, right, in my British accent with my dimples, or they'd think I'm weird. So I just try to keep it simple, right? I don't like to invite unwanted attention. And that accounts actually for the reason that I've acquired most of these words. Anybody who watches my shorts or...
I say soccer when I'm talking, like, in terms of, like, relating it to sport, but this is never one that I'm going to pick up. But I do say it if I'm sort of trying to differentiate. When I'm doing videos, like, differentiate between, obviously, American football and football or soccer. But this is one that I don't think I could ever pick up, unless I obviously lived in the US. It probably would be, but yeah.
Half of the videos that I've ever done on this channel will know, of course, the history of the word soccer and how Americans came to use it by way of Britain. That's not what I'm talking about today. The fact remains that when I'm talking about the sport, which is pretty frequent, especially on Twitter, I tend to use the word soccer, and it's just because I know that my audience is primarily in North America. So why confuse matters? But again, a lot of this is context dependent. When I speak to people in Britain, I don't use the word soccer because I hope to one day be let back into the country. There isn't really any way to stop it from happening because most of the people I talk about the sport with here in the United States are in fact American. Here's a funny story. Just today, right here in Chicago, my wife and I were driving along and she said, oh, we actually need to get gas. And I said, well, where's the nearest gas station? And she said, oh, it's on Lawrence Avenue here in Chicago. And I said, oh, it's not the only Lawrence that has gas today. You have to be there. But gas is something that, of course, we have to do quite often in terms of filling it up. It's sort of just become an ingrained thing. If I'm a passenger in the car, I'm the one who has to fill up the gas tank.
I mean, if you're living in the US, I feel like you'd have to start saying gas, because if you go to the gas station and you say petrol, they'll probably be a bit confused, right? I mean, I assume that's the case. So I feel like this is one of those ones that you'd have to pick up if you lived in the US.
At the gas station, even if we're at BP, which stands for, any guesses? British Petroleum, petrol. So even in those instances...
But is BP in the US?
Find myself saying gas.
Is Shell in the US? Wait, you said BP and Shell. I mean, is BP in... I don't know why I always get interested by this. I'm always just fascinated to see if there's any companies in the US, like from the UK. BP Amoco. Oh, it's got 420. Damn. Yeah, that's all I want to look at.
Gas, and that's just the way it is. And while we're on the subject of American English, let's say a big howdy to these guys. In past videos, I introduced you to the great...
This ad's out of date now, so it's not really important, but he's getting his money. You love to see it. You love to see it. But this is a year ago, so I don't think it's still standing. I think ads run out after a few weeks, if that.
How to begin your free trial. The link is in my description below. Oh, Thumbtacks. You might think it's weird that I say this every day, but you would be amazed at how much I pin onto boards. That's what happens when you're a YouTuber and you've got to...
What's a Thumbtack? I'm so confused.
Come up with massive amounts of ideas.
Is it like a pin board? Because it cut out. Thumbtack. Was it like a cork board? Oh, like a pin. Oh, I just call this a pin. Drawing pin, yeah. Just a pin. Thumbtack? What the fuck?
But the problem is, I don't myself own any Thumbtacks. They're all my wife's. And this is one where I don't think I've ever said, Tara, where are the drawing pins? I don't even know if she knows that term. It's just a term I used to use. I picked up Thumbtacks from watching The Undertaker versus Mankind at King of the Ring.
Oh, he loves his WWE, man. His references all the time.
98. And since then, I've just known the term and always use it. Almost proudly, partly because of that event. I swear I held out for the longest...
Washcloth? Is it just like a kitchen towel, I guess?
This time on the British equivalent of this word, which is flannel.
Flannel?
To wash my face or hands or other body.
I see, I got washcloth confused. I just didn't know what it meant by the American term, but flannel, I'll probably just call it a towel, to be honest. I don't think I've ever used the word flannel. I'm weird. I don't use certain words. I don't know. It's flannel. I do know what it is, but I would just say towel.
body parts, I would have asked for a flannel or just found one, because that's what you do when you're in a bathroom, unless you're in a British hotel. That's something I found out while I was in Britain. They don't have them very often. After living here for a while, of course, it's just an everyday thing that you use. Sometimes if we're behind on laundry, we might also be behind on washcloth, and then that uncomfortable conversation comes up and I smell horrendously, and I now say washcloth. Unless I'm in Britain, just ask any hotel manager. Cookie. Now this is quite a convoluted one, because in the United States you do indeed use the word cookie to describe that breaded, crumbly thing, sugar.
I could never I could never call a biscuit a cookie. It's one of those ones that is so ingrained. I just couldn't do it, because a cookie is obviously, like, for me, the bigger sort of biscuit version, and obviously a biscuit is just the small one. I don't know. The cookies are just bigger, basically, and they've got like the chocolate chip ones or whatever, like different styles like that.
And chocolate chips. I'm not very good at describing things. And we call that a biscuit. But in the United States, a biscuit is something different, right? It's just sort of a bready, savoury thing that you get at
that's fair enough.
Red Lobster. But I think it's like this, right? If I'm having American cookies from, say, Chips Ahoy or something like that, then I'll refer to it as a cookie. It's an American brand. But if a fan of the channel, let's say Prince William Official, sends me a packet of digestives or boasters,
can't call that a cookie. That's defamation.
Or whatever it might be, I will still use the term biscuits for that. It's quite rare that I get those. He's very stingy, and I used to more often than not find myself eating American brands. Nowadays, I've given up added sugar, and I must say, in the last 8 months, this has not been such a problem. And finally, it was a word I used.
Apartment, flats. I mean, to be fair, apartment is kind of used in the UK. Now, I feel like it's probably being used more, because like when you'll see like new listed apartments or built up, like, because in my city there's like an area where there's like it's on the river, and there's always new apartments being built, and it's listed as apartments, and it's just one of those ones that sort of, I guess, you start saying, if you see it, you say it kind of thing. Like flat is just, I don't know, flat's just not really a nice word, is it? Flat, what other ones are there? It's just flats, really, isn't it? Yeah, I think I say apartments now, to be honest. I mean, flat is just not a word that I think I really use anymore, if ever. I mean, I definitely said the word before, but apartment I use more for sure.
Used earlier. Apartment. That's where I live. That's where I am. And because you spend every waking day of your life inside it, at least I do, I'm an introvert, then you're going to refer to it quite often. Hi, Prince William Official. Yes, just sitting at home in my apartment, just eating a bowl of cabbage, because when you give up sugar and alcohol, that's really all that's left. And
you know what? Giving up added sugar that's got to be one of the hardest things in the world. But you know what? I want to try that one day, because I eat so much sugar. Oh my days. I'm trying to gain weight at the moment a bit, and I'm just eating lots of like Nutella and stuff, because I know it's high. Basically, in the morning I'll have like a omelette with like chicken and pepper and onions and like 3 or 4 eggs, and then with that I'll have like a sandwich, like a big sandwich. One side has like a fuck ton of peanut butter, like chunky peanut butter, and it's good quality peanut butter. It's not like the cheap peanut butter that's just, I don't know, not as healthy. I'm trying to make myself seem better, but it's like organic, full like chunk peanut butter on one side, and then I'll have Nutella on the other. And oh my god, it's probably sounding disgusting to people, but for me, it does get me going. Like in the morning, it's one of those things that's like, yeah, I can get up and I have this in the morning. And don't get me wrong, beforehand I never used to eat Nutella. I'm trying to just eat a bit more, basically. And I know Nutella's high in calories, and so is peanut butter, but I don't know why I'm talking about this now. It's because he said he's given up added sugar, and I'm just like, you know what, at this point in time, I am the complete opposite. But I don't want to do this forever, because I don't want to actually give myself serious problems. So once I gain a couple kg, I'll slow that down, but yeah, I'm waffling. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
I don't really remember the last time I used the word flat, because even when I visited England recently and I was speaking to my family and they were asking me, oh, how's your new place and all of that, I don't think the word flat came up.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, I just wonder if they think I've just become really American. Maybe I have. My uncle did tell me that he thought I've developed an American accent since being away. I mostly don't detect it, but I think it's turns of phrase that bring that out of me occasionally. And also words. So apartment and every other word that was mentioned on this list. Well,
I mean, to me, he definitely does not sound American. But to be fair, my sister moved to Scotland like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And so she would have been around 20 when she moved. 20, 21, 22. And she's now 30. And she's got a Scottish accent. And I used to think, does she put this on? But then I went to Scotland and I was there for like, I think just over a week. And she was just speaking like that. So I'm like, you can't just put on a Scottish accent this whole time. So it's crazy to me that even at a certain age, people's accents can and will change. Which I don't know. I mean, you go from like an accent that she had before, which is not really connected to anyone. It's just a typical English accent, to sounding like a true Scottish person. And it was like, wow. But I can't hear the American in his accent, but maybe that's because I didn't know what he sounded like before. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. As an American, I've always used the word bathroom at home or in a home, and the word restroom in a public space. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that. But yeah, my Canadian sister went to grad school in the South and absorbed some of the local lingo while retaining her Canadianisms. This was beautifully illustrated when I heard her say, "How y'all doing, eh?" that sentence is something, man. But hopefully you enjoyed this reaction, and yeah, until next time, peace.